In ultras, there are highs, there are lows. There could be multiple lows. There could be very long lows, but it will pass. It's not going to be your forever, even if it feels that way.
Welcome to For the Long Run. We explore the why behind what keeps runners running long, strong, and motivated, and how they've been able to achieve sustainable excellence. I'm your host, Jonathan Levitt, and we're so glad you're here. This episode is brought to you by Go Brewing. I've been a fan for years and have gotten to know their CEO, so I mean it when I say that this stuff is good and the company is too. They make non-alcoholic beer that actually tastes like beer. Real IPAs, lagers, and hazies, brewed by a small family team outside Chicago. Most cans are under 60 calories with no added sugar. Try the Jab Jab Grapefruit IPA, the New School Sour Berry, or the Baller Melon to get started. Order direct at gobrewing.com and use the code FTLR2026 for 20% off your first order. That's FTLR2026 at gobrewing.com. It helps the show when you use that code. This episode is sponsored by Boulderthon, and if you're mapping out your 2026 road race season, this one deserves an early spot on the calendar. Boulderthon is more than a single race. With a 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon, and kids races, it's an ideal weekend whether you're hunting a PR or towing the start line for the very first time. Use code FTLR2026 to take $20 off your half or full marathon. And the fun doesn't stop at the finish line. The whole weekend is a big celebration of running, Colorado, and truly great humans. You won't want to miss it. Visit boulderthon.org to register and use code FTLR2026 for $20 off. Huge thanks to Boulderthon for putting together such a fantastic community event. And welcome back. We have Lindsey Dwyer joining on For the Long Run today. Lindsey, thanks so much for taking some time to chat.
Yep, happy to be here.
Of course. First question is always a tough one, and that question is, who is Lindsey?
Very tough. Let me think about it.
Been studying your whole life for this question.
Oh boy, here we go. Hope I get it right. I am many things. Of course, as you probably guessed, I am a runner, an ultra runner. But I am also a teacher, a wife, and a twin, and a cat mom, a traveler, an explorer, a baker, many things.
The baking and running tend to go well together, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a sourdough era?
You know what? I did not. Shocking.
You didn't have?
No. It was too much of a popular thing. I was like, there's enough people making it. We can just share. I'll make something different, and then we'll do some recipes.
It's easy enough to buy, too. Like, for the amount of work for like a $5 loaf of bread.
Especially living in San Francisco area.
That's
true. They know what they're doing. I can't compete. Yeah.
The San Francisco sourdough is just too good. I used to bring back, I would go to Boudin's in the airport and just like bring it back. But I haven't found that. I haven't flown in or out of that terminal. It was the international terminal, and I haven't found Boudin's in the other terminals.
Sorry for your loss.
It was a serious loss. Okay, this is a running podcast, not a bakery podcast. Although we could make the case that pain is just French bread. How did running enter your life?
Besides running to the bakery, okay. I'll stop bringing in the bakery and baked goods. It's one of those things. I've always been a runner. It's one of those things that I just always loved from a little kid. I was still am a super active person, and running is such a good outlet for that. I have just far too much energy, and I needed an outlet.
What was it early on that captivated you? Was it really just like I could just release all this energy and I can do this thing that is fun and joyous and makes me tired?
No, actually, I have to give the credit to my mom. I grew up having her as a role model. She was a runner. In fact, I hear stories that when I was in her belly, she was out running. And then once I was born, I was put in a stroller. And then I just really wanted to be alongside her being the runner. But then I was on a bike next to her, and then I got a little older. And then finally I got to run with my mom. Yeah, I was lucky. I had a really good role model in the house.
And now you're running ultras. So you went from riding along on the bike to running a little bit to running very far. What did that evolution look like?
It was pretty natural. Like, I still remember the first time I ran a whole mile. I was like, wow, I can't believe this. Granted, that was when I was in elementary school. And then I ran my first 5K in 5th grade. And then in 7th grade, I actually ran a half marathon, which back then, back in the old days, that was kind of unheard of. I feel like you hear that a lot more nowadays. But I actually didn't tell anyone I was training for this half marathon. I just kind of was doing it on my own. And then asked my parents if they could drive me to the start line.
Oh,
uh,
it was a race.
It was the 3M Motorola in Austin half
Wow.
marathon. Except turns out I needed a ride to the start line.
And a parental consent to register.
I don't remember those details.
So did you run the race?
I did. I ran with my mom's friend who could keep eyes on me, and I had so much fun.
How did you feel at the finish line?
Oh, great. And I think actually we dug up an old photo of myself, like a little printout, of me at the finish line with like my really awkward bangs and like just in a cotton t-shirt, not knowing what to do and holding up my medal. And I wrote on the back actually like details about the race. Like, I think I just always was like, it was part of me. And I was just like, always had this little competitive part. And like, I wrote my time and what went well and why I thought I could do, or like why I thought I got that time and how to improve. And then I ran another half marathon in high school. But then my mom was like, stop, like, you're like too young for this. And so as soon as I got to college, then I was like, well, no one's telling me no. So then I ran my first marathon and I got into marathon running for a bit. And then eventually that got a little too familiar. It got to the point where like at any given moment, if someone was like, hey, run a marathon tomorrow, I could say, okay. And then I realized, oh, it's kind of lost some of its spark and it was no longer such a mystery.
So at that point, people go one of two ways. They either go further or they go faster or they go shorter and faster. Why did you choose longer? What was it about going longer that intrigued you?
So the real answer, I am lazy. I don't like speed work. So all I wanted to do was the long runs. I loved the long run days. Like when I was doing marathons, I was trying to, PR my own time. And how you do that is you kind of have somewhat of a strategy and you do some speed work, whatever that may look like. But I really just wanted the long run days. I just wanted to run long.
This is why I wanted you on the podcast because it's for the long run.
That's all. That's what I love. And I still love nothing. I mean, sadly, not much has changed. And yeah, you can definitely do speed work running ultras. In fact, you should do speed work if you are trying to run a fast ultra. But you actually don't need to complete an ultra, and you actually don't need to as much to run a decently fast ultra.
What is it about the long run that you love? Right. So many people dread it and they're scared of it and they can't figure out how to execute it. What is it about that day in the week that you love so much?
I love not looking at my watch. I don't like paying attention to pace. I don't like knowing the time of day or the minutes. I just like the basics, the running. Just let me go run.
But you still deal with discomfort and pain and low energy when you're out there for many hours. Like, right, like you could say like, I love baked goods, but eventually like you run out of the ability to eat baked goods. Or maybe you just keep running and you never run out of the ability. But like, how do you keep going?
I think variety. So I like switching up my routes. I like to do a different route as much as often. Honestly, I try not to repeat once in a week. And then listening to music or podcasts or books, running with friends. I love running with friends. And wow, if you run with friends, you don't even realize what's going on around you. Those miles just fly by. So I think variety is helpful. And this has been a long progression. So it turns out I've been training like an ultra runner probably since college. I just didn't realize it. I had never heard of ultras in college. So I've had a long time to kind of progress slowly into the buildup. So at this point, I guess it's the long runs are relatively, I don't like using the word easy, but they're somewhat easy at this point because the work has been put in.
And because you're doing them with SFRC, right?
Okay, SFRC, in case you don't know them, super great community, San Francisco Running Company. Attracts all levels of runners, but they seemed, I don't know what it is, magnet to very talented, very fast runners. I would not call an SFRC run necessarily an easy day.
I was out there recently and I ended up at the back of the pack. It's like,
don't overthink that. Yeah, it is. interesting and cool how many very fast and talented runners are attracted to this club.
When you're out there, what is pushing you? This podcast is all about exploring the why and understanding what enables people to do the thing. Why are you doing it?
I feel like that answer can go so many ways. Besides, I love running, but then I think it's curiosity. You just wonder, what are your limits? You reach a new level and then you're intrigued. Like, okay, I just did that, but like, what else can I do? So I think it's the mystery maybe of the unknown, a curiosity of what else can you do? And I mean, we're always progressing, and what you thought was crazy and impossible maybe a month ago, year ago, many years ago, if you work towards it, it becomes realistic and maybe you hit that goal and well, then what?
Does that curiosity show up in other parts of your life? And does the running muscle allow you to flex the curiosity piece in better in other places?
I think so. I really like traveling. That's one place that there's so many unknowns and places to discover. And you go to some place new and then you talk to people and they tell you about other places. Then you want to go check out this other place for sure.
Talk to me more about the curiosity in running itself. Like, I'm curious about running a 50 miler, and then I'm curious about running a 100 miler. And I want to know what it feels like to, I don't know that I've found my limit, so to speak. I've run a, fast enough marathon that I'm proud of the time and the work that I put in to get there. I maybe had some more in the tank. Maybe if I fueled appropriately, I could have taken like 3 to 5 more minutes off and I wouldn't have bonked at mile 18 and then came back from the dead and still, ran a strong race. But for the most part, the marathon to me is, I mean, when you're racing it appropriately and when you're racing at marathon effort for a marathon, you are at the edge. But, and the risk of going, or when you go over the edge, you have anywhere from like 1 to several hours remaining. What's interesting to me about ultra running is that when you teeter over that edge, you could still have 6 hours left. You could still have 12 hours left. You could still have 50 miles left. That's a curiosity, or that's a like putting yourself out there in a way that I've never experienced. I've run 40 miles, I've run 42 miles, and one of those events was in the Grand Canyon, and I ran with Tony actually, and it was like a 3-hour 10K, and I felt pretty much at my edge there, mentally in particular, in an arena where you can't escape, and you can't just DNF. You take a very expensive helicopter ride out, and like I wasn't going to do that. So I want to hear more from you about riding that edge, or like what is it like to be exploring that edge of potential, or that effectively what your potential is, again, both mentally and physically.
Well, I think you definitely just partially answered that. It's the mental game. I think that's kind of what I also love about ultras. It's the puzzle aspect. Problems are going to happen. You may not know what problems are going to happen. You can guess, troubleshoot as much as you can, but you will be faced challenges and problems. And then your race pretty much is determined on how you react to them. What do you do about it? And how do you proceed? And that part is definitely mental, and like staying calm and having control of your emotions and being able to think through the thoughts and the feelings and then connect the physical aspect.
Can you talk me through the last time you experienced something hard in a race?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I just, ran Cocodona. So where to begin? Many days and nights of things being challenged. And that race, we'll just pick one. Mile 50, my knee started hurting. So for Cocodona 250, that's not a great place to be. You have
203 miles remaining.
Crazy thought, and very daunting and very intimidating. And like, how do you not panic? So, okay, you're presented this problem. my knee hurts and it's getting worse. And it's something that's really hard to not think about. Like it is so present. So then you start thinking, okay, what can I do about it? Like what tools do I have right here, right now? And or do I just push the next aid station where I have more resources? So yeah, I hope it goes away because sometimes in running, weird things pop up, right? Like something kind of aches and then it just kind of disappears and you hope it's that. In my case, it was not. Unfortunately, I had to run. I didn't know it, but the rest of the race with a hurt knee. So I was like, okay, try to think about other things. I'm going to go with the distraction method and I'm just going to put on really great playlists and listen to the music. But then the pain was so bad that it was hard to really focus about anything else. And so then once I got to the aid station, I just switched shoes and I tried taking poles out and I tried putting topical lotion on top. There's like anything I could in my power to help the problem. And then you just have to decide, okay, this is part of my life right now, temporarily. Do I just, call it quits? Do I keep going? Do I, what do we do? And I was very determined to not quit that race. So I just carried on. Unless it was I was gonna pass out on the side of the trail because of pain. I guess I just stubbornly refused to let it stop me. It definitely slowed me down, which was frustrating, but just kept moving forward. Unhappily, just accepting it hurts.
And you still came in 5th.
Somehow.
Talk to me about that race more broadly. There's been a kind of an explosion in interest, and there was conversation that I had on my business of running podcast, Long Run Labs, that was basically talking about Rachel and Trenken around her mastery of 200s or her desire to pursue 200s. Mm-hmm. And the commentary was that like the industry wasn't interested and brands weren't interested mm-hmm. in 200s. And the broadcast was the number one broadcast outside of Western States and UTMB. So clearly there's interest. What is it about that race that people are so captivated by?
I think a lot of things. The broadcast has been really entertaining. So people at home hear about the broadcast because maybe they know somebody who's running a race and they just want to check in with their friend, but then they start watching it and the scenery is gorgeous. I think they kind of just get glued. They just get sucked in. And also the live commenting makes it really intriguing too. And I think at least at this point where we're at, that distance is so new and novel that people may not have even heard that these races exist at this distance. So they're just curious. They're like, wow, a 200-mile race? I didn't even know people could run that far. And then it's just so obscure, right? This number is so large that people really cannot comprehend it. But then once you start watching the broadcast, it becomes realistic because you're literally watching people do that thing you think isn't possible. And I don't know if people just start wondering if they can do it as they watch it, watching people's journeys as they progress from start to finish. And I think that course too, Cocodona specifically, the environment is pretty varied. It varies pretty quickly, all things considered. So it keeps things fresh and you're not just watching somewhat the same scenery, kind of like, on a treadmill.
And there's pretty good competition at it as well, right? You ran 79 hours in 2025 mm-hmm. and came in second mm-hmm. and 13th overall. And you ran 7 hours faster and were further back
mm-hmm. by several places
this year. Yeah. So it was second and 13th mm-hmm. and 5th and 18th. Mm-hmm. What is it like to compete at a race like this when it's like 80 hours of competition?
It's fun. It's exciting.
But like, how do you contextualize that? How do you stay in the moment and know that like, yeah, you can let that person go now, or maybe you shouldn't, or a decision you make to take a brief nap will pay off later. Like there's so much of the what's right here and now matters versus like what's going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yes. I think you really have to have discipline. You really have to know yourself and you need to have a plan. You cannot get caught up with what's happening around you, or likely that plan is just going to go out the window. And like any ultra or any big thing, you got to take it piece by piece at the same time. Like have little goals within and little benchmarks.
This episode is brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. Spring race season is here, which means a lot of you are moving from training into race mode. Precision cuts through the noise with 3 simple dials: carbs, fluid, and sodium. I've really dialed up carb and sodium intake thanks to all the conversations I've had with dietitian friends. You can hear more about this in particular in my April 24th episode with Stevie Smith. And as you'll hear, more carbs are important no matter if you're at the front, middle, or back of the pack. Their gels and chews have powered thousands of miles for me the last couple of years, and I'd love to hear how it works for you too. Head to visit.pfnh.com/forthelongrun and take 15% off your order. Make sure to select For the Long Run when they ask about how you heard about them. Quick one for anyone who's been looking for a destination race that's actually worth the trip. Rocky Mountain Half and 5K put on by Vacation Races up in Estes Park, Colorado. If you've never been to Estes Park, it's the gateway town to Rocky Mountain National Park. Alpine views, evergreen forest, elk wandering through downtown like they own the place, because they basically do. There's a walkable little downtown full of breweries and coffee and gear shops. And if you're on the Front Range like me, it's a short and scenic drive, so you can make a whole weekend of it without getting on a plane. Now here's the part I love. It's not just one race. Run the 5K on Friday night and the half on Saturday morning, and you earn what they call the Elk Double. 2 finish lines, 1 weekend, an extra medal, and some exclusive swag for doing both. Cool August mornings, clean mountain air, and the kind of post-race setting you actually want to hang around in. The course itself climbs early, drops you through Devil's Gulch, and finishes flat and fast around Lake Estes. Use code FTLR when you register. Estes Park in August. It's hard to beat. Talk me through what that looks like. I am still having trouble conceptualizing, like, you're standing on the start line, it's Monday, and you're like, yeah, I'll finish by Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah. How do you take small bites out of the elephant so that you're not eating the elephant all at once and thinking about, wow, it's 253 miles to Flagstaff, but rather it's 10 miles to the next aid station? Like, how do you do that in practice?
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone had different strategy. I really haven't talked to the rest of the field, but for me, splitting it up by aid stations was super helpful. So the first time you can see crew was at mile, I don't remember, like 36 or so. And I just had a goal of how I wanted to come in feeling. Like I wanted to feel X, Y, and Z the first time I saw my crew. And then you just have goals kind of like that. Okay, next time I see my crew, you can also do like time goals. I want to see them before sunset and I want to be feeling this way. It's a lot. I mean, it's a long race, and how much time do we got?
How does crew play a factor in all of this?
Oh yeah, I am so thankful. I am so thankful for my crew and team. And they're all just volunteers, right? They're just coming out during the work week to a different state, in my case, just to help me reach my goals, which I am so appreciative of their time and energy. But it's, at least for me, it was extremely helpful. And I know you can do it without crew and pacers. In fact, my husband ran it 2 years ago. He had no crew, he had no pacers, but it's a lot slower. You can get through aid stations a whole lot quicker having crew. You can have your own fuel, stuff that you know works with you and that you respond well to. You can have your crew bring it instead of having to rely on aid stations. Like, they have great aid stations. They have everything you need, but you're kind of at the mercy of what's there versus stuff you've practiced, unless you did your research and you like replicate exactly what they have. And then also just having that ability to have all sorts of different equipment changes if you need, like clothing, shoes, layers. And for me, that kind of brings a peace of mind. It's one less thing to worry about, like I usually pack way too much stuff because it's something you can control, right? So there's a lot on the race day I might not be able to control, but I know I can have these items with my crew just in case I need them. So one less thing to worry about.
Okay, so while we're talking crew and pacers, both you and your husband are a part of the Amazfit crew that is getting a watch from them as a thank you for people who do crew and pace, specifically around Western.
I know this.
Oh, yes, you're on the list.
Woohoo!
Congrats, you're getting a watch. In the spirit of crew and pacing, like what tips do you have for someone who is maybe doing it for the first time or the 10th time or whatnot, as someone who has done a lot of these races that really rely on the service of others to help you move from one place to another? Like, what do you want to tell those people so that they can help their runner have the best time possible?
Yes, I would say the number one tip is communication. It is so key because what works for you as a runner might not work for somebody else. And you're there to help your runner, right? And so knowing how you can best help them just by asking in advance, such as, do you want, if they're experiencing a low, for example, do you want positive words of encouragement? Do you want to blare rock music? Do you want me to tell you a joke? Like some things work for some people, some things don't. And to know that ahead of time so you can come kind of with like your tool bag of ideas. And then little things like, do you want me to run in front of you? Do you want me to run behind you? It's very helpful if you can do a practice run so you know this person a little bit before, if you can run together and kind of get used to each other. Do you like to converse? Do you want silence? Maybe a little of both. Just talk, ask these questions.
How much of this changes throughout the race, and are people expecting, like, are you wanting the same thing from your crew at mile, at 50% of the way through versus 75% of the way through?
I am so glad you mentioned that. I should have also said, so as the runner gets more tired, right? Likely they're not going to act like a normal, just like, yay, you're out for a little fun run or training jog. They're going to be digging deep. Who knows what's happening on the inside, the thoughts that are going through their heads, and like give them a lot of patience and empathy and grace because they may be very grumpy. They might say something really snappy, or they might just be surprising. So like, don't expect them to necessarily be they're not going to be their best self come race day, keeping an ultra, right? It could be in the middle of the night, their stomach hurts, they're over it. So like, don't take things personally. Just know they're going to be really thankful for your help. They might not express it in the moment, but that's okay. You're still helping them, even if it doesn't appear that way and you're not hearing, maybe some positive things from them, but you are super helpful.
How do you want to be helped out of a low point, or how do you help someone out of a low point?
Honestly, just staying positive or putting things in perspective. There's so many ways. Putting things in perspective, like, this will pass, or you've already gone this far. There's not much more to go, or you can just embrace it and then just start, I don't know. Maybe you guys are just going to do a little cursing party down the trail. Maybe you start yelling. It's person dependent. But maybe remind them it will pass. In ultras, there are highs, there are lows. There could be multiple lows. There could be very long lows, but it will pass. It's not going to be here forever, even if it feels that way.
It's one of those things that's like, yes, this too shall pass, but it really freaking sucks
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Acknowledge it. Yeah, it's not fun. Right? It's type 2 fun, maybe type 3 fun.
But I think acknowledging it and specifically calling out, like, this is hard right now. Like, we choose to do these things because they're hard, and at least personally, like, the ability to do hard things optionally makes the hard things that are not optional a little more manageable. And it's like, people who do hard things do hard things. So how does that muscle show up in other parts of your life?
Oh, all the time. Actually, I just wrote an Instagram little reflection. That was just my last Instagram post. Was kind of like, you can do hard things. And doing hard things allows you to face more hard things, potentially harder things. But it's like practice, right? The more you do it, the more empowered you become, and you prove to yourself that you're capable of getting through the discomfort and that you'll find a way to get to the other side. And then you'll remember those struggles from the past. And when you're facing something else in life, work, relationships, whatever it might be, like knowing you're strong and capable because you've done it before. You've done hard things before.
One of the things that allows us to be strong and capable, I see your precision hat. You can see my precision hat. It's the
Hey,
fueling. We should be
definitely.
wearing these hats. Um, Talk to me about the fueling journey and how we talk about being prepared. There you go. We talk about being prepared,
Mhm,
and being able to do hard things is predicated by practice and
mhm.
planning and preparation. And so one of the components of that is fueling. I'll add the disclaimer, this podcast is also sponsored by Precision. So I'm
Hey.
biased in saying big carb is wanting us
Yeah,
to consume more carbs, but it really helps. So talk to me about that piece of the journey for you.
big time, big time, big time, big time. I feel like oftentimes, as soon as I feel low, I stop and think, am I eating enough? Oftentimes, and this is good for back to the question of how can pacers help their runners? Maybe just ask them, hey, have you eaten anything recently? Are you eating enough? Oftentimes they're related, and it's such an easy fix, right? And so yeah, so eating enough and eating frequently definitely helps, your blood sugar, your physical performance, but then that relates into your feelings and emotions. And then your perspective of this is so hard. Why am I doing this? I want to quit.
The number of times that I've been brought back to life from the caffeinated um, 30 gel. Uh,
Mm,
it's just carbs are one thing, but put a little caffeine in the system,
there's like a
and
hundred milligrams in those, right?
yeah, it's a good
That's a
little bump.
boost. Hmm.
It's a good little boost. How did you get linked up with Precision, and what is your experience with them look like?
Yeah, so it's a recent partnership. They're great. So yes, I just finished Cocodona 250 and I have signed up for Mammoth 200. So like right now I am focusing on the 200s, but I see myself right now just much more of a 100-mile runner. And in most of my recent 100-mile races, I fuel mostly on gels. That's a lot of gels. We're talking like 30 something gels. And I found just from experimenting that precision really works with me. I find they're really easy on the gut. I usually don't have GI issues. And so after one of my races and realizing how many gels I went through, I reached out to them. I was like, hey, we work together. I really like your stuff. And it really works for me. And I know it works for a lot of athletes. Yeah, I like what they got going on.
Yeah, they have a fun program. I've worked with a couple of athletes who have started working with them, and they only work with people who are actually using the product, or
Oh, yeah.
they have like a trial experience of new athletes where
Hmm.
they don't have any obligation to post or do anything, but just use the product and see how it works. And I think that authenticity is a huge part of it. And it's been really fun watching how they storytell around carbohydrate, whether it's with Chris Myers or any of the other athletes that they work with, and just like showing. And I think that there's room for this in the broadcast. I think it would be fun to have like a carb
Oh,
tracker,
that's such a good
Cocodona carb
idea.
tracker.
All right, 2027, you have basically, 11 months. We can figure this out.
I've been working with them for a while. I've been using that product for a while, and yeah, I think the conversation around how do we do this thing is both mental, physical, and carbohydrate.
Mm. Yes.
Tahoe Rim Trail
Mm.
is next for you, and you also have Mammoth.
Yes.
You're picking some of the most beautiful places to run on the planet, and that's kind of like
Mhm.
the epitome of it, right?
Mhm,
Do you
mhm.
spend any time thinking about that aspect of it, of like, okay, I just like get to do cool stuff in cool places, and for this I am grateful, kind of a thing?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. And I'm also very spoiled. I live in a beautiful spot. So a lot of my local races that I can just drive to, it's just world-class trails and just extreme beauty. So I'm very thankful for that.
Does that piece of it help you get through the hard stuff?
Oh, definitely. And like, I guess I just use the word thankful. I think that's a pretty big tool too. When you're in a low, just like stopping for a moment and thinking, just being grateful that you are in a good enough health to even be experiencing a challenge because you're in 100-mile race. Like, a lot of people would not be able to start such a big event.
The perspective of something like that is scalable to anything, right? Like I think of the first time I ran a 5K and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I can't imagine that I'd ever want to go for a run. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm, racing 3.1 miles. And then I had this realization in the 40 miler I did last summer where I was like deep in the mountains of Colorado. And I was like, the majority of like runners will never experience anything like this, let alone like humans in general. And that was like 30 miles into a 9-hour day where we spent most of the time above 11,000 feet. So it was like slow moving. And I
Mm-hmm.
had the ability to be like, holy shit, this is beautiful. And I guess the point is like you can scale that gratitude to anything you're doing, of even if it's like your 4-mile run around your neighborhood, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's a privilege to even be able to do that for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to do these things.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, and if you think about it too, we were all beginners at one point. You didn't just start by running a 50K. Like we all had to
Right.
go through that. Wow, I ran a whole mile without stopping. And then also, I think as you progress, if you do get competitive or you start pushing your limits or just you run enough, you will probably get injured. Unfortunately, it's part of the sport too. But then that really makes you stop and realize how nice you have it when you're forced to take a break and stop what you love. And then all of a sudden, you could kind of care less about like training. You just want to be able to go run for 10 minutes.
Definitely. What would the version of Lindsay from 2026 who's signing up for 200 plus mile races say to that girl that ran the mile for the first time, or that 5K?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. I don't know if I would believe myself, honestly. Or just like a bunch of cliches, a lot of cliches. Dream big. Um, but actually, there's so much more out there, and it's just limitless. Like this is just the start. If you want it to be, or just keep at the mile. That's great too. But there's so much out there. There's so much still to discover, and you're stronger than you even know.
Let's take another spin on that question. Let's say it's 2036 or
Ooh.
2046, and that version of Lindsay is talking to the Lindsay of 2026. What is she saying?
I hope to be able to say, wow, I'm so proud of how far you've come, that you really worked hard and you gave it your best and look what you achieved. That'd be satisfying.
I had a conversation with someone who introduced a book and concept to me called The Gap and the Gain, where the gap is from now to where you want to be, and the gain is looking back at where you've come from. And we spend
Mhm.
so much time thinking about who we are today and who we want to be, and not enough time looking back at, wow, there was so much progress made in the last 5 years, 10 years,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Like, and so he had flipped that around to me, talking on the business side of things, like what would the version of me who quit my job a year ago, basically today, think about the version of me today, instead of thinking about where I want to be. And it's just like a
Mhm.
really powerful reframe to think about how far we've come
Yeah.
versus like what's left.
I think that's really healthy too, because we kind of get greedy, don't we? Like, there's always more. There's always more you can do. There's never a perfect race. There's always something you can change in training. And with that mindset, you might kind of forget to be proud and satisfied exactly of what you have already achieved to get to the point where you're at right now. And that is easy to get caught up in that cycle because there's so much you can do to improve.
Do you find yourself getting caught up in that process?
Probably since I had to stop and there was an moment. But as we say this, actually, ironically, just yesterday, my sister sent me a old Facebook post from, I don't know, 2013. And it starts something like, I know I'm a rookie at all this. It was after my first 50 miler. And it starts, I know I'm a rookie in ultra marathons, but I just ran 50 miles and I'm going to share my experience. And it was a very long post. I guess Facebook doesn't limit you like Instagram. Like it's just like endless words. I haven't got a chance to read it all, but I skimmed some of it and it was already making me laugh, like the stuff I was doing. So I think it would probably be very healthy to, do some reflection on things like that.
What are some of the things that you were doing that made you laugh?
Well, in the first paragraph, it mentioned, here's like my experience from running 56 miles in parentheses. Yes, I know this was a 50-mile race. I'll explain below. What happened was I got lost. So I ran an extra 6 miles. I laughed because like 50% of my races, I end up adding miles because I'm really bad at navigation. I'm like, wow, not much has changed. Also, I ate a whole pack of Oreos and I was really proud of myself. Like an entire pack throughout that race, like a whole, I don't know how many Oreos that is, like 3 sleeves.
48. Yeah.
There you go. I was really proud of myself. So it's going to be great to like fully analyze this.
You're going to love the watch that we're sending you because it's got a really great mapping feature.
I need that in my life really badly.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lindsey, was there anything else you wanted to chat through today? Any sage wisdom from all these miles you've collected over the years?
Don't forget to have fun. Another cliche. I feel like there's lots of cliches, but like it's so true. You can get so caught up in the improvement and the what's next. But like, why did you start this? Probably because you liked running or you had fun out there. And I think that's such a big part of not burning, get like burnout. So whatever that fun is to you, join a group, run socially, find cool trails. I don't know. Keep having fun.
I love it. Keep having fun. That's a great place to wrap. Excited to see you out in Tahoe in a few weeks. And where can we find you if we want to follow along with you and your adventures?
Most of my stuff, I now just do Instagram at Lindsey Dwyer, Dwyer, Lindsey Dwyer. And get ready for a lot of silly posts too, because that's me.
Perfect. That's the way it should be. Lindsey, this was a blast. Thanks so much for taking some time to chat.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Of course.
It was fun talking.
That's it for today's episode. Like many long runs with friends, it's sad when it has to end. Join us next time as we continue to share inspiring stories from the running community. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or training partner who you think would like it too. This podcast was produced by Emma Benner of Sandy Boy Productions with musical composition by Brian Walters of Single Track Sound. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you out there.